Welcome back to tone. What the fuck is that shit? Seriously, the tone in this game has no understanding of tone. I can't stress that enough. That's the primary big issue with this game.
Chloe, not for nothing, you've been out of your house for God knows how long, and you're surprised that,
Hey, Chloe,
your talent
I know this is
washed or something.
I know this is something that's going to be a huge surprise to you, Chloe. But guess what?
The world doesn't revolve around you.
Exactly. I was gonna say you are not the center of the universe, but that boils down to the same thing. So, you are not the center of the universe, Chloe. Get over it.
I mean,
if you put something in a place, and someone else moves it, that's kind of a dick move.
If this story was clever, I would dare say that what this story is implying is that Rachel was just a bad influence on Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I love the.
Oh God, here we go.
I love the kind of duality we just had. That Chloe had her towel moved by a dickhead. Jova and Pedro were like, "Well, the universe doesn't revolve around you," and then Shuri rebutted, like, "Well, we did move her towel without asking."
So yeah.
It's if I put something in a place, I expect it to still be there when I go back to get it.
Okay, here's the difference though. Chloe kind of ran out on her mother and has been gone for days, so maybe her mother figured she'd move the towel to get it washed at this point.
Ah, yes, another shower scene.
And now we are about to see Chloe's villain origin story,
because
where she got the blue dye for her hair.
Because this is important somehow.
Don't you see? It's to show how Chloe eventually started having blue hair.
No, I get that, but do we need the shower scene?
I mean, it's
No,
better.
we don't.
I mean, it's better than those really minuscule things we learned about Logan in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Or the stupid dye.
So yeah, but the interesting thing is that she doesn't dye her entire hair from the get-go. She only does that. She only does that at the end of the game.
Don't you see? It's to show the start of her descent, I think.
I guess. All right.
So
it's the beginning of a new episode. So once again, new outfit. All right, guys. So what should we wear?
I'll admit.
Chloe, you're gonna steal clothes from your mom?
Or is these clothes from David?
Okay, maybe things have changed since I was a teenager, but usually teenagers don't care for the way their parents dress because they're uncool and shit.
William's clothes. Oh, her dad's clothes.
Oh, nice. Why are they randomly in the hall though? Why are they randomly in the hallway though?
Maybe they were being moved to the attic or something.
I guess.
So you see, the origin is that Chloe wears her dad's clothes in the original Life is Strange game. How nice to know.
Okay, so we already tried these. There's a new one called Dragon. There's the classic
Chloe.
We're not gonna go with classic Chloe, so let's try the Dragon one. See how that looks.
Because we aren't at classic Chloe yet.
Yeah, I actually like this one. And yes, she even has the hat that she will later wear.
The less I'm reminded of classic Chloe, the better.
Well, Jova, that's the whole point. We're doing the origin of it, so skull. Let's see how the skull looks.
Don't you see, guys? Of all the questions that get answered, at least we know where Chloe
look at that. It's the shirt. It's the shirt that Rachel gave her, and this is the same shirt that she would later give Max. Remember?
Is this like a gesture to a girlfriend or something? Is that what this shit is?
Remember, Sheila, it's like we've established previously. Max is gonna be a rebound girl, so she even has her dress up as Rachel, like you joked about in the playthrough. So.
The whole thing goes deeper than we thought.
Oh yeah, clearly. This relationship is even more toxic than you thought.
Maybe Chloe really is a tragic supervillain.
What's with the music in this?
chances I can avoid Mom or David?
Is that music that her parents are playing?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean that? Yeah, yeah. That basically, remember, they're old, so of course they listen to older music and all that shit, and that's uncool to teenagers and all that shit. Blah blah blah.
Come over.
Not yet. I told you 3 minutes.
Look at them, having a good time with each other. How dare they?
I can't stand it.
I'm telling you, it'll make a mess.
You can't even laugh properly, Jesus.
I think they're humming.
Yeah, I think that's humming.
I think.
All the time. I want you
Now
to
that
have
said,
a great
I think it was the mom that was laughing, and that's why the subtitle said ha 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 ha. Either that or whoever was writing the subtitles missed the memo.
Actually looks pretty happy right now.
See, here's the thing. See, here's the
With
thing.
this bit, she realizes that her mom is actually
Yeah.
seeming to be happy.
Yeah, she already said that. Here's why I can't buy that line. The first game. Because, like, whatever possible thing they're trying to do with, but you should see, Chloe actually didn't think too badly of this situation well, okay, but we know this isn't gonna last, so...
No.
Again, it's just so weird how this game tries to change how Chloe does certain and says certain things, but it doesn't really make sense with how the first game
None of
is.
that matters now.
I
Also,
really
she was only
get,
away for the day from that line.
I really get the feeling that they had
came home.
a whole story in mind. Like, maybe the idea was that Chloe was getting better, but again, as soon as the whole thing with Rachel happened, she just spiraled down.
Picking up some stuff.
And that would be fine if we actually got to see this for
exactly.
ourselves, but like we've talked about before, much to Shiro's bafflement, we are not. So what the fuck is the point of this?
I'm just hanging out with Rachel.
And I'm going to hang out with her forever and
How is
ever.
Rachel?
Sure, you are.
I was
Oh,
telling
this
Dave
bit.
about the play and you being in it.
I mean, it was unplanned,
gotta
but
go.
yeah.
Listen, wait. Before you go, David has something to say to you.
We both need to fire our acting coaches.
You know, the problem with David is similar to the problem with the villain in Captain Marvel. Again, if you want for there to be some schism between him and Chloe, but for us to maybe see both sides of it, he needed to actually be way worse than he actually is in this game. Like,
Yeah.
things were dubious at best with him in the original game. This game tips things really in his favor, because here he is actually going to freaking apologize. And again, mind you, he did not really do anything that was unwarranted.
Yeah, that's why I was
on this game.
yeah, and now that bit that I mentioned about the whole empty your pockets thing in episode 2, now it comes into full play. Again, like I said, this scene falls flat to me because, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with David asking her to empty her pockets because, again, Chloe has a long history.
Did you really have to go with this option?
Now, I thought
Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
It's funny. You're
trusting me
complaining
with
about
this
Chloe
stuff.
being a prick. You're
And
choosing the
convincing my
most
mom
Well,
prettiest option.
Well, I'm trying to choose what she would say based on what I know about her.
Loser.
I honestly feel like at this stage in her life, she would have accepted the apology.
For lecturing me all the time.
Well, I never. Well, hold on. The scene is not over though.
You're not my dad. Who the hell-
Not to mention, I don't know, like her suddenly being super duper friendly with David all of a sudden compared to what happened the previous day doesn't make much sense from a
I
plot
wouldn't
coherence.
say her accepting his apology would make her super duper nice.
No, we
Like,
don't.
she has shown that she is capable of common sense at this point in her life.
you think I
I don't know, this option just feels annoying.
I don't know. I don't really buy it, to be honest with you.
I've been meaning to show you something.
I mean, they get the options there, but I definitely don't agree with that option there.
Sure. I mean, it's not like it matters in the grand scheme of things anyway. The game is just going to forget all about this the moment the scene ends. So, whatever.
You served in the same unit. 2 tours. Becker was killed. near the end of our deployment. Roadside IED. We used to joke about all the trouble we were gonna get into once we got back home. But he died.
Oof.
He died, and I didn't.
Survivor's guilt.
Survivor's
Think
guilt.
about that
Yep.
fact every damn day. The point is, I've had my share of grief. I know what.
Yeah, I have a problem with this particular scene, but not for the reason you might be thinking.
So
Number one.
guess what I'm saying is-
Okay, so supposedly this is the reason why he's kind of messed up in the first game, right? Because of his trauma. Like, again, much like how the first game also tried to justify Chloe's attitude with trauma and all that shit, right? Okay. Here's the thing, though. Like I said, like Jova said, in this game, he's apparently reasonably fine handling it, and yet for some reason in the first game he's suddenly much more, of an asshole in comparison to this game.
It comes back to that one line he said in the original game. I try to work with you, but you keep pushing me. Keep in mind, he actually apologizes for asking her to so much as empty her pockets when, let's be honest, she has been absolutely terrible. Okay, I'll give you credit, though. You did at least do the accept David's offer bit there.
The other problem, like I said, I still don't buy the whole, I'm sorry for making you empty your pockets. That was a violation of your... No, it wasn't. Chloe has a long-running time of carrying drugs. She doesn't earn the luxury of, quote-unquote, having privacy in her pockets. But anyway...
In any other situation, that would have been bad on his part. That one, though, was necessary.
Now, keep in mind, he goes from apologizing to that to being way more paranoid about her actions in the original game, which really just facilitates the idea that Chloe really did just earn his ire to the point where, yeah, they have that heated relationship.
That being said...
And again, I really do get the feeling, and especially with a scene like this, I get the feeling that there was supposed to be some big dark twist that would undo the development that Chloe's doing, or at least would have her be unwound. Because again, that scene we saw was pretty good. Until you realize where the relationship is going to go.
Oh.
Now, mind you.
Alright, Jova,
Let me finish up.
Go on.
Mind you, it would be cool to see how we got to that point. But as we mentioned before, you aren't going to exactly see the scene that connects the dots. Train!
Looks very...
Yeah.
See that train, Chloe? That's the train that's gonna kill you in the future.
Yeah, basically.
in one timeline.
The other problem I have is that sorry, game. Like if this is your way of trying to justify him slapping Chloe in the first game, and I'm sorry, that doesn't really change anything. That's not an excuse.
Again, keep in mind, you can possibly not even get that scene of him slapping her. And in the alternative, he arguably handles it better, which really just call into question what is considered canon for David at this point or whatnot.
Basically, yeah. Hello everybody, I'm Chloe Price, and this is my tutorial on how to fix a broken truck.
But yeah, again, this game is incredibly frustrating because, like I have mentioned, there are scenes that are way better than the stuff we see in the original Life is Strange game.
Needs a bit more.
The problem is, while we have all these good scenes, we don't exactly have a good overall plot to connect them.
Also, Chloe, you should have worn something to protect your head, maybe.
That, and Jova, and the fact that Zach Garrett doesn't apparently understand the meaning of tonal consistency is also a big problem.
I mean, okay. While there have been some weird tone shifts in here, special mention goes to Victoria shouting "boo" in the dream. I guess I wouldn't say the tone is the biggest problem of the game.
For me, it's hard because to me that's the worst because again, you have this big, supposedly sad scene, then you suddenly boo and you completely break my immersion. You completely take me out of the story. That's the worst thing to me. Like
Also, get a look at this conversation between Chloe and David. David's actually being supportive of her, taking up her interest as a mechanic. Even says that he's not trying to keep an eye on her with this, he's just complimenting her. Again, this pretty much all but solidifies that David was the better of the two in the original game, mind you. But it goes a bit further than that when you think about it. Like, consider this. Chloe may have literally just drove the man insane because he mentions how, he has survivor's guilt. But he seems to be handling that relatively well. Then come the original game, and apparently he's reverted to being very paranoid because of his time in the war. I mean, again, we don't get it said blatantly, but given how Chloe is Chloe, how much would you be willing to bet that she probably drove him to that? Again, not helped by the fact that she constantly was confirming his suspicions of wrongdoing, as far as we know.
Indeed.
It is pretty clear because we have he's been stern with her in this game, but not overly paranoid and helicopter parent, I guess. Like, he's genuinely trying to communicate with her, and then she's just blanking him.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I know.
Go on.
I know, it is difficult to accept a new parent, coming into the picture, but there comes a point where it's like, okay, enough is enough.
It's interesting you say that, Shiroi, because I actually recently saw a Life is Strange video where someone commented on said video explaining why that person relates to Chloe so much. Let me see if I can get the comment so I can read it. In the meantime, everybody, so be sure to send your donations and see if by the end of this stream I can fix this truck. But anyway,
I'll admit, whenever I hear people say, "Oh, I see myself in Chloe here and there," I do kind of get a bit wary and ask, "Okay, in what way?" Because Chloe is messed up in so many ways. Now, granted, if you do sympathize with a character or maybe relate to them in some way because certain things have happened to you, that's fine. However, insisting that you see yourself in a character who is, well, there's no argument about it, been a really crap friend and, actually abusive to said friend, I do hope that, if you were like that, you got better or you're getting help, because, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah. All right, here's the comment, Shira. I found it. Okay, so here's what she said. At least I think it's a she. I don't know. But the point is, this person says, and I quote, "I saved Chloe at the end of the game. I didn't think I've ever related more to a video game character. When I found out how many people hate her, and it made me think about myself as a person. My dad didn't die, but I spent the first 18 years of my life mostly living with my mom. And after my now stepdad moving in without being asked how I felt when I was 12, and having a hard-ass straight person showing suddenly up in my life, I related a lot to Chloe's issues with David. I think Chloe's storyline is part of what makes Life is Strange feel so real. It's portrayed very, very well, especially considering that it's a video game." There you go. So, see, the thing is, let me counter this. Real. Unless, of course, you want to first say a piece here about this comment I just read.
I mean, I do very much understand this person because, they relate to Chloe's situation, it seems, it seems like they didn't turn into the kind of person we see Chloe become. It's more like, just relating to her particular situation.
Yeah, that's actually part of what I was about to say. This person, from what I can gather from this comment, I might be wrong, but at the same time, from what I can gather from this comment is that this person relates to Chloe's general situation of having a person forced into her household. Okay, here's the thing though, whether something is relatable or not, that doesn't inherently make it good story, because you also have to still execute the overall writing well, because I can relate to the story of Brotherhood from Life is Strange 2, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a shit story.
I think.
Well, I mentioned. Sorry, Jova.
I do wonder if, like, the comment comes from about a realization on her part too. Like, I'm not sure if she says, okay, maybe she still likes the story for, again, being able to portray it somewhat realistically without going too cartoonish, apparently. Kudos there. I do wonder, though, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the tone in the comment does seem to suggest that she has about a realization that maybe it is more just the situation that she related to as opposed to the character completely.
I don't know.
Also, congrats, Chloe. You started the truck up.
So,
Anyway,
no, go on.
no, what I was it's it's not good when I know that they're the parent at the end of the day, but if you're going to bring someone new into the family on a potentially permanent basis, you do need to include the children in that discussion.
Now,
Because,
to the mothers,
it's a family thing, and parents do a lot of things that are about themselves and not about the family as a whole. And I feel like
Shit.
actually communicating with your kids about bringing someone new in is much better than being like, oh, hey, new stepfather. And it's going to cause problems,
now, to Joyce's credit, at this point in the game, she's still just dating David. They're not married yet, and she really has been trying to communicate with Chloe.
Yeah.
And even try and get her, to be more friendly
And, like,
with David as
Yeah, we've seen that in both games. Like, they are trying to communicate with her on multiple occasions.
And like Joyce said in the previous episode, Chloe has pushed her far too much. Joyce is desperate and doesn't know what to do, so she resorted to David. Like, what did you expect was going to happen, you stupid bitch?
I mean, and you know what? Look, I do wonder if, and okay, I blame this more on the original Life is Strange game.
Oh, hold on, Joe, this is important.
This game, and oh boy, here we go.
And now this is where the game's going to start yet another thing that's completely moot in terms of dramatic tension, but I'll explain how.
We're not dealing with a couple of dime bags.
Yeah, since I didn't... Yeah, fun fact, even if you do keep the money, what's going to happen at the end of the scene still happens, so... Once again,
because Chloe apparently wants to save the money so that she and Rachel can run out on the town and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she has it.
Oh? It's cute how she acts.
In case you've forgotten, this is the David Merrick, the guy who broke Drew's knee.
I don't think we saw his face before, did we? We only saw him from the back.
We saw it, like, briefly.
We did see his face.
Drew. Right?
He's basically the closest this game has to a villain.
Okay, not for nothing. He asks her if she knows what happens to Drew, but that implies that he knows she was there.
Okay, honey, now can you please rephrase that line like you actually mean it? I love this outpost from him. Listen to this.
Why is it that chicks think it's okay to hit me? But if I lay a single finger on them, suddenly it's a whole other thing.
Where the heck did that line come from?
Also, she didn't even hit you. She just shoved you away. And
Frank
you were threatening her.
You were asking about a client.
Seriously, where did that line come from?
I don't know, Jova.
I can tell you where it came from, Jova.
It's true.
Where?
And
The
it's why
writer.
You should give a shit.
Well, yeah.
The writer's bum.
Don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
you asked.
Also, to very clearly wrap up something earlier, off commentary quite a while ago, I mentioned that somebody was even able to find comfort in stuff from Final Fantasy 13. I don't understand that at all, but if people can find, comfort and potentially help in that kind of thing, I'm not going to judge that.
Oh, sure. Sure.
It would be for 8.
I don't have a problem with that either. It's just that,
No,
like...
I'm not saying you were. I was just making a point about,
Sure.
how people
I'll get
approach
in-
media in this kind of way.
I'll get back to that when this is over.
Okay, then let's talk. I want to know right now why you get
As in Sarah.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow, Pedro, I didn't know a bit of your writing got in the game.
because
why do you care so much?
you.
Because fuck.
Because fuck you.
Look, none of this matters. All we care about is that you stop asking questions.
Ooh, this goes high up now, doesn't it?
Remember, Damon is Frank's boss of sorts.
But keep in mind, though, he specifically doesn't want us asking about Sarah.
Rachel, let's maybe try not to piss off the violent gangster. Maybe? No?
No way.
What the fuck is
Why do I keep expecting these characters to act rationally?
Rachel Amber? That makes so much sense. This is James Amber's fucking kid.
Damon.
Your dad's a real piece of shit, you know.
We know.
We're aware. Not sure what that has to do with us.
Me neither. But I'd like to find out.
So you were just as much in the dark as us.
For once, I'm with Chloe. This is just bullshit.
Yeah, what?
Like, what?
He's just angry for no reason. Like, I get...
I know, right?
That's a blade, Jesus.
Is the fucking DA's daughter. And right now, she's going to fill me in on what her daddy is up to. And how he's connected to that whore everyone's asking about.
Oh, so everyone's been asking about Rachel's mom. Guys, just like how everyone was asking about Rachel in the original game.
And notice how Frank is the most reasonable person in this game. Constantly trying to ask Damon, dude, look, Damon, come on, let's try to... But now, of course, Rachel is a moron, so she provokes Damon, and now Damon goes ballistic.
Okay,
You better run.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to interject like Shiori did earlier.
Oh,
and say,
snap.
to be fair, he had a knife to her.
Not just that, it's not even just
Now
that.
she stabbed.
Yeah, and Frank keeps him at bay so we can escape. Again, Frank is the best character in this game because he's the only one who again, like he's one of the best characters in the 2 games, period. But
I'm not gonna lie, when Chloe actually hit him with that plank, I first thought, oh, so she kills Damon and that's why he's not in the original game.
okay, so time for me to address the elephant in the room that just now showed up. Why should we be afraid now? We know Rachel makes it out of this. Because we have the original game. We know that Rachel later even bangs Frank and everything. So there's literally zero dramatic tension to Rachel getting...
this isn't how she dies.
So...
Okay, see, now, in a good story, they would have made us care enough about Rachel that it at least sucks to see her get hurt this much, and maybe this could have given her an injury that we never know about that impaired her or whatnot. But no, she'll be pretty much fine after this. Okay, maybe not mentally, but you know.
That's another thing, by the way. We haven't discussed this before, by the way. As demonstrated by what we found out in the first game, that bit pissed off Chloe, that had her go into that terrible rant on part 12 of the original game's run. Remember, Rachel, despite, swearing loyalty to Chloe, later goes on to bang Frank behind Chloe's back. So Rachel is a horrible person as well. So it's another thing.
And yeah, the father is rightfully distraught.
Yeah, so seriously. I mean, I guess Chloe and Rachel are great for each other because they're both
firefighters in this game.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe they're tending to the fire. We won't know because we never hear what they say. My guess is that part of the game was just there to, assure people that, the fire will be dealt with.
Okay, yeah, I might as well address that bit as well. Like, don't worry, I can easily recap what this conversation is after. Okay. This is another problem. Like Jeff has been theorizing throughout the entire playthrough, for all we know, maybe this is the consequence of deleted content because they were restricted to only 3 episodes instead of 5. Okay, I understand that, but at the same time, I will argue that can excuse everything in the sense that, okay, if you knew that you were only going to get 3 episodes, drop the fucking mistress subplot. It's in fact, drop the whole subplot involving the Rachel's dad to begin with. Drop that shit and focus strictly on how Rachel disappears, because that should be your number one priority then. Because if you only have 3 episodes, fucking focus and streamline your story. Don't add in unnecessary fluff like this.
This is why I wonder if it's specifically like a Xenogears case where they were so far into making the game that they couldn't edit that stuff back, but they could try and mitigate the damage by at least making what they had into its own complete story. Because, them going into this, knowing they only had this amount of episodes and doing just this, does not make any logical bout of sense.
No.
Especially since, again, we've seen that these writers can do better, so I really do wonder if this was a case where the game was chugging along, relatively fine in development, but then mid-development, stuff just got cut down to 3 episodes, and they only had this stuff to work with.
I mean, don't get me... Go on.
In the sense where they had a lot of this stuff but couldn't go back because of the deadline coming and whatnot.
Don't get me wrong.
Mind you, for all we know, maybe they really did just make the dumb decision to go with this as the story for their 3-episode plot. Again, I'm just trying to think logically on this bout.
I tried researching into it, everybody, but my research turned out exactly butt kiss. So I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. We'll never know. Apparently. Okay. Don't get me wrong.
I'll give the dad credit. He has every right to be raging at Chloe, but he is again very civil with Chloe. All things
that's what makes Rachel so unlikable in this game. The dad is trying his freaking hardest to be as reasonable as possible considering the circumstances, and all Rachel does from the moment she learns of the whole Sarah thing is, dogpile him. And Chloe also pretty much again also goes along with Rachel and everything, but
now I will say this, to be fair to Rachel, he has technically been lying to her for quite a bit of time, so I can maybe get some faith shaken, but she doesn't try to press him for more questions before doing the very dangerous activity of interacting with the drug dealer.
That I can answer, Jova. It's because the dad refuses to tell her anything more about Sarah, about where she is and everything. The dad
yes, that I get, but she didn't try grilling him just a little bit more harder.
That is true.
Granted, I know it's a minuscule thing, but sometimes it's the minuscule things that would help. All it would take is maybe, I don't know, a bit of her trying again before going to this length. Granted, I guess for her sake, because the woman's hanging out with Frank, it does make sense that she pressed him for details. It's just that this whole bout makes Rachel come off as very irrational. And again, a bad influence for Chloe.
Okay. Basically, to recap, the dad is basically saying, look, I appreciate, if it wasn't for you, Rachel would have died because they told me that if she arrived any minute sooner, any minute later, she probably would have died. So basically, Chloe just saved Rachel's life, blah, 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 blah. And the dad is very... Yeah, thank you, Chloe, you saved my world. Yeah, right here. So, yeah, again... Considering the circumstances, the dad is being far more reasonable than I would be in his situation. So honestly, to be perfectly honest, even in the context of the game, Rachel comes off as the bigger asshole. To be honest with you.
Also, the story did explain that the reason Damon had a bone to pick with Rachel was because that apparently the DA's department has kind of been on Damon's back, essentially.
We're actually going to... We're actually going to get more of a telling about that later, so...
That's true.
Yeah, basically he suspected that Rachel might be doing something on behalf of her father to try and send him up the river.
Don't get me wrong. True Colors still has quite a bit... Again, like I said that the game was okay. I didn't say it was great or anything like that. The True Colors still has quite a few problems that I will talk about when we get to that game. But in the grand scheme of things, True Colors is still definitely a big jump ahead from everything that came before in that series. It's still just okay, but yeah, by the standards of this series, okay is definitely a big step up.
Like this, True Colors accomplishes a lot of what the previous Life is Strange games, well, excluding 2 because 3 never goes to those extremes, but basically Life is Strange True Colors does a lot of what the original Life is Strange game and this game try but fail to do. For one thing, that game actually commits to letting you choose your romance between the girl, dude, or this other
Yeah,
dude,
true.
essentially, here and
Yeah.
there, without having any BS of railroading you to one
Yeah.
romance or whatnot. It has good scenes like these, and actually has an overall payoff to the good narrative.
Yeah, the big problem with Life is Strange is its story problems, because fortunately, despite the story having quite a few problems, the characters fortunately hold the game up, fortunately. But anyway, tune in next time, everybody, where, because in the next part, we're going to see the payoff to Elliot's storyline. Yeah, remember him? I don't blame you if you don't,
He's a
because,
thing.
yeah, believe it or not, everybody, we're about to get the ending of this, I guess, arc, if you can even call it that, and let's just say it's quite possibly the most bizarre thing this franchise has ever done. Just think about that for a moment. See you then.
See ya.
See ya.